statement from Coach Brennan, and then we'll take questions. Coach?
All right, good to see everybody. Obviously coming off a great weekend, really a great week for Arizona athletics. When you just think about just starting the week off, with our men's basketball and the win they had out in Vegas, and then following that up with Rita and the women's volleyball having the two big wins. I know our swimming and diving team had a big win on Friday. Becky's got basketball rolling off to a great start. And then, I think finishing up with us over the weekend was just, it was a great day. It was a great homecoming, great celebration. Great to have a lot of our former players back here in Tucson. And it was a great win for our program. And as you guys know, we're well past 24 hours, and so we are heavy into preparation for Cincinnati. This is what we think is the best football team we played this year. They've done an outstanding job of adding to their roster, building a roster and then adding good players in the portal from it. The quarterback is the best quarterback we've seen so far. He's a really, really clean passer, and he's extremely athletic. They've got this is the best team, the most team speed I think we've seen. And so just an incredible challenge for us in all three phases, going on the road, playing a very, very good, and a first place team in our conference. So we got a lot of work to do. The players are really, really excited about getting back in the facility and getting back to work and putting together a plan to go play good football in Cincinnati this weekend. I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start with Justin and then Mike.
So Quincy Craig was just named.
Is that a Spice Girls t-shirt?
It is.
It's just my man. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah.
Sporty Spice.
There you go. Everyone's got their favorite.
So Quincy Craig was named Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. After just kind of reflecting on how he performed, what made just his performance so special?
Well, I think you guys asked me the other night about just the rotation at running back and that part of it. I think if you're going to have a good football team, you have to have more than one. That position, they take such a beating, and having more than one has benefited us throughout the season because there's been times where players at that position have been nicked up or been dinged up in some way. So it was awesome to see Quincy do that. I think that's one of those things that also speaks to a really good evaluation of him through the portal process and a good recruitment. And then I think Coach Carter and Coach Moival have done a great job, helping him grow and develop in his role. And then, that kid, like if you spend any time with him, he just has great energy. He's got a huge smile. He plays with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of joy. He's really been a great addition to our football team.
Michael and Troy.
I also have a Quincy Craig question. His first touchdown, very athletic play and reaching the ball over the pylon. I've heard some coaches say that they kind of ban players from doing that because they feel
so do we. Yeah. Is that what you're asking? So do we.
Well, just given whatever your stance is, and then when you watched it, what did you think of that?
I thought it was an incredible play. I thought we absolutely needed it in the moment of that game, and so it was really valuable. It's kind of like, the head coach going for it on fourth down and getting it or not getting it, right? Like if you get it, everyone's like, great call. If you don't get it, everyone's like, you're an idiot. It's just the way it is. And so it's kind of a result thing. The devastation would have been had that ball gotten knocked out and been a touchback for Kansas, right? And we've seen that multiple times happen this season. So that is not something that we encourage. But it was a hell of a football play.
Troy and then Chris.
Just the progression of the offensive line from the first half to that, really the final drive, and then Matthew Otto having to come in and play big-time snaps there down the stretch.
Yeah, I think that's always, when you get into a game, you go into a game with a game plan, but you don't always know exactly how that's going to show up until you start playing, right? And I thought those guys did a nice job of settling in, and then finding some run game there in the second half was really, really valuable. And I thought Matt did a great job. I think he did a great job going in there, especially on that last drive, playing with huge effort and physicality. And obviously we needed that because, that was the situation in that moment where that's what we were kind of being given, and we took advantage of it, and it all happened because of those big boys up front.
Chris and then David.
You just touched on it in your opener, and something that Danny has talked about throughout the season is just sort of the momentum when the football team is playing well, and when the men's basketball team in particular is playing well, the momentum that creates throughout Arizona athletics. And do you just feel like there's a sort of palpable buzz or energy on campus in Tucson right now with so many different athletic teams performing well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important, and I think it's really critical at an institution like this that is in a city like Tucson, and there's no pro sports franchises, and you're not sharing that market with, the last job I had, we had the 49ers and the Warriors and the Giants and the A's and the Earthquakes, and like there were so many, and then there's other universities, right? Where with this one, this thing is so unique that way. So there absolutely is a ton of enthusiasm. I think that's really a special thing about this place is just the relationship the city of Tucson has with the university. And when our sports teams are playing well, it's exciting because it really is, everyone always says it's the front porch of the university, and it is, because it is really public. And so the success or the failure of your sports programs is a really public thing. And when people are playing well and doing good stuff, it's exciting for everybody.
David and then Damian.
Coach, you talked a little bit Saturday night after the game about some of the protection issues, specifically to some of the blindside hits that Noah's been taking lately. Where would you like to see that shored up better, and what are some of the things you guys are trying to do maybe to protect him in terms of calls and that type of thing where he doesn't maybe take some of those shots?
Well, what I'm not going to do, David, is give you the game plan for Cincinnati. So, but yeah, we're going to fix those things. And I think, one of those was just one time they got us, which happens. They made a good call and they executed it, and that happens sometimes. But I think also one of the times we made the wrong call up front, and so we didn't get the protection all the way to where it needed to go. But that's something that we've already got to work on fixing yesterday. You know what I mean? So obviously there's nothing more important to us than protecting Noah Fafita.
Damian and then Justin.
Brent, you mentioned Quincy's energy, his enthusiasm. You have a good story or a memory from fall camp that kind of best exhibited that?
I would say really it probably comes from spring practice. From the moment he showed up, he started ripping off like 60-yard runs in practice, and it was amazing because, right, you evaluate a player, you recruit him, he chooses to come, you get him here, and then but you don't really know. You've been watching tape, you're like, okay, it's still a projection, right? When we think about recruiting, like no one bats 1,000 in recruiting. Look at the NFL, no one bats 1,000 in the draft, right? I mean, how many first-round picks don't make it past their first contract? Like so many, right? So that's like such a big part of that evaluation process. But then when we start practicing, you start to get to see what it looks like. And right away, he started having a tremendous impact. Right away, he had instant respect of the team because he was a super hard worker. And so they saw him, that part of it. And then when we got on the field, the football was good also. And he was effective in protection. And so like the fact that he was a complete player showed up really quickly. And I thought it was a really good evaluation by Guys Crowley and Fletcher Kelly and our running back coaches.
Justin and Jason.
So in the past, when one of the tackles goes out, we've seen Rhino step in. Why did you decide to go with Lotto at left tackle instead?
Because Rhino has been playing more on the right side, and this is on the left side.
Okay.
Yep.
Jason and then Michael.
Obviously, the defense leans a lot on the older players, but Myron Robinson had a strong game against Kansas.
Big time.
What do you see from him, and just what's his ceiling as he continues to kind of get better?
Yeah, honestly, I think he's got an extremely high ceiling for a player to step into that game, that physical of a game. I think he tied for the lead in tackles on our team, was really effective, was flying around, made some outstanding football plays. He's just it's fun to finally see him start to come into his own, right? Because he's a little hurt early in training camp and wasn't really as available early on in the season. And it's exciting to see him, getting more and more comfortable, because part of it also when you miss all those reps is you miss all the schemes, like you miss all the time in the scheme, I guess is a better way to say it. And so the opportunity for him now the last few weeks, last month, to get more and more comfortable, to earn a little bit more playing time, to make some mistakes, to recover, to learn, right? And then to get out there and play last weekend was really fun.
Michael and then Troy.
Very quickly in your post-game message to the team, you pivoted from "this is great" to "I'm not satisfied with 6 wins," and I guess hope you guys aren't either. Why did you feel like that was the message that you wanted to convey?
Because I think when you start a season, at least in my head, like the first thing you want to do is like, how fast can we get bowl eligible, right? Because you know that when you get to the postseason, you're going to get a chance for an extra spring practice, basically, right? Depending on when you play, how many games you win, you can get 2, 3, 4 weeks of extra practice. Well, that is incredibly valuable for the team, for the freshmen that just got here in June, or for like that part of it is so critical. And so knowing like that's really important. But then you don't want that to be the goal. Like that wasn't the goal when we started in the fall. The goal wasn't to just get to a bowl game, right? And so now we're in a situation where we have 3 big time games coming up, 3 excellent opponents, right? And 2 of the 3 are on the road. So incredibly challenging things. So how quickly can we enjoy this moment? Yes, it's awesome. Hell yeah. We're so excited. But when we show up tomorrow and we get past this film, we are now diving headfirst into the game plan and the process to prepare for Cincinnati.
Troy and then Brian.
Kind of looking at Cincinnati, Cyrus Allen, just the pressure he's able to put on a defense, leading them in not only yardage but touchdowns as well.
Yeah, he's the best receiver we played against. He is excellent. Just a great combination of speed and talent, his ability to finish. He's tough. They've done an awesome job. And like I mentioned earlier, when you have somebody delivering the football with the accuracy and the confidence that Sorsby is, that they present a real challenge that way.
Brian and then David.
I know we'll get the availability report on Wednesday, but any of the players that left on Saturday, do you expect them to be out for an extended time where they might not be available this season?
I don't think so, but you'll have to check the availability report.
David and then Chris.
Just to follow Brent on that blindside protection, there was one play in the fourth quarter where Lotto essentially had to make a decision because he had a guy come free inside and he had a guy outside. He chose the inside guy. What's a tackle to do in that situation when he's faced with that, where he's got
What he did is the shortest path to the quarterback, inside. You know what I mean? But you'd like to not be in that spot, right?
We'll finish up with Chris and then Justin.
We saw it didn't end up getting run, but Mason Bray came out for kind of a trick play look. Was the intention to run that play, or was it try to confuse the defense, get him to run a timeout? What was the plan there?
I think anytime we can get more players on our team involved in the plan and get them on the field, it's fun. It's good for the team.
Let's finish up with Justin.
So there's been a lot of talk in the last week about mental health in football after Marshawn England's passing. As the leader of Arizona football, how do you guys go about relaying the message of mental health and just making sure that your guys are taken care of?
Yeah, I lean really heavily into that space for them. It's critical that we support our kids. I just think this generation is dealing with more stuff than any generation we've ever coached before. And so we have 3 full-time professionals in that space in our athletic department. It's well-resourced by the U of A. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of those things where we are really, really open with our players about, because I also think that sometimes players think if they choose to talk to somebody and they're going through a tough time, that somehow that information is going to get back to me, which is, that never happens, right? That's not what it's there for, right? And so trying to get our players in a place where they are comfortable and they understand that we are just here to support them on their journey, and whatever they need in the mental health support, we will make sure they get the resources that they need. And Rachel does a great job, with our team, and we're really appreciative of it.
Thank you, everybody.
Bear down.
Thanks, Brian.